final round of the 2025 MotoE season, the final round ever for the championship. It's an emotional goodbye for the electric class after 7 seasons, but 7 really is the magic number. 7 riders can still win the last ever MotoE crown, and within the next 24 hours, all will be known. Portimão and MotoE. 16 different winners, 23 podium finishes. What will be 78 races by the end of this weekend, and countless last lap battles. It's been special in MotoE. For one final qualifying shootout, you join myself, Pico Giles, Neil Morrison in commentary, as well as Elliot York in pit lane. The November Portuguese weather has been anything but the cliches of the Algarve summer. Just in time for one last hurrah in MotoE's qualifying. The heavens have opened. You can see the track temperature might be a chilly 21 degrees. The way you were thinking they got away with it, they haven't. And this is going to be one heck of a Qatar Airways Grand Prix of Portugal MotoE qualifying. It has been remarkable. This season has even more so now as the heavens open and the rain falls.
That's been up the day so far, and with
Title contention, riders such on your screen. Tibor Eric Varga, who have been within striking distance of podiums earlier on in the season, to really go out on a high. There is also the opportunity for riders not in absolute title contention, those on the outside, those on the fringes of that being able to be in title contention in race 2, the likes of Eric Bernardo, Andrea Mantovani, Nicholas Benelli, all of those who have a chance, but are not the favourites. It's a chance for them to throw caution to the wind here in Portimão. Not so much this rider, Alessandro Zacconi. Wow, first in the championship, but what a disaster he is going to have to face now.
we had a really complicated practice session earlier. We've had hit and rain throughout the day, little showers here and there, nothing than what we're seeing right now. But just before lunch, just before the practice session, it was a shower. And some riders gambled thinking it was going to be pretty wet. Gutierrez Garza's opponent, Aldasari, another championship contender in this session as well. Well, they got it wrong, and they have. Weather speed.
I've got to say, I think this is the most sustained period of rain we've had all week. For sure, all day. Elliot down in pit lane. Am I right? How's...
Now on track. Good news. Attempts to couple up.
green on this one. Lorenzo Baldassarri. An eye on the likes of Andrea Mantovani. Someone a little bit bigger, a little bit heavier, who could perhaps make the difference in these very tricky conditions here. This is our first look at the track since MotoGP's practice ended, and it doesn't look great, does it? It looks very, very tricky out there.
It really has closed in. It's quite murky out there, and the rain is falling heavy as any point in the day. In fact, heavier, I think, than any point we've seen so far. It is no question that full wet setup for this session, and what pressure for the lights. Baldassarri for the lights. Alessandro Zacconi and Andrea Mantovani who are in that championship fight. Or not in session, you've got essentially get up to speed in wet conditions. Folks, hanging by a thread and depending on what you can do on.
Of course, there's only 2 places to move through into Q2, so at least one of Zacconi, Baldassarri or Mantovani are going to be very unhappy, at least one, because we've seen the likes of Tommaso Occhi. He's been good in tricky conditions earlier on. Tibor-Erik Varga is very, very fast. Generally speaking, he's coming back from injury, but he's a recent stock championship race winner over in Barcelona in the Junior GP paddock. And Hector Garza is the defending champion. It's a heavyweight headline in Q1.
He is in the session. Just a quick reminder of the championship groups. This advanced stage of the season. It's like an age ago when we had our last MotoE round, but it was all the way back 18 points back. You feel realistically those 5 riders still win the championship. Big the rider in 6th, Ellie 6 points back, and Andrea Mantovani in 7th, 33 points back. Looking at minor miracles need to occur for those riders to emerge with the trophy this time tomorrow.
I think so, and they're the wrong side. The 25 points back as well. They could automatically be eliminated tomorrow. They have a fall or whatever, so it's not all in very sketchy indeed if you run on the
leather riding as well. He's able to put a long yard to try and test out the elbow as well on occasion, but Baldassarri, I mean, completely blew it. It was qualifying, wasn't it? Dano before it all kind of came apart for Balda. Crashed out at the end. Q1 didn't make it through and then had to really fight back from a long way back in the grid. 13. He actually did quite well to come through for 26 places with Misano, but yeah, really the damage was done on the Friday.
But he also looked nervous on the Saturday, Neil. Lorenzo Baldassarri didn't look like a rider who was racing at home, who was joint championship leader just a couple of months ago. He looked like someone who it wasn't coming naturally to win. These conditions won't have helped that, but at least they're a great leveller. So Balda, with all of his experience over in Moto2, World Superbike, World Supersport, where he's been on the podium here twice at Portimão, these kind of variety of bikes and conditions and all that experience that's been gained over the years, Balda will be looking to put it to good use this weekend. Zacconi at the moment, well, briefly gone top. Tibor-Erik Varga is now just ahead. Tommaso Occhi. I mean, you really want to be setting as many laps as possible so you can get a feel for the conditions and utilise it all the way through.
Absolutely paramount to stay upright in the first minutes of this session. I know, I think 2 or 3. Then we're going to see times of this session come in, because I think everyone is just going faster, a little bit more experience in these conditions, and the guys and the conditions. And yeah, we're just dead set on our economies right the way through.
Jordi Torres has gone top provisionally. No, yes, he had. I think that timing tower is wrong. Jordi Torres on our timing screening comms has gone top ahead of Alessandro Zacconi and Oscar Gutierrez and Lorenzo Baldassari. Word up from pit lane, at least down there, it is dry. Well, not dry, it's no longer.
Is to come through. You're right, so potentially going to change, and it has.
Mantovani's gone top, a tenth of a second quicker. Up into Q2, I remind you, so it is premium, the graduation into the qualifying shootout, and right as well, Neil, just to touch on something you just said, these conditions, if you are able to move through into Q2, it undoubtedly gives you an advantage. The only thing is, because the conditions are evolving and the times are going quicker, the finite difference between staying upright and finding yourself in a gravel. It's so slim.
It really is.
They're just over half a second up as you see him asking for the power. So that's something to keep an eye on. We're looking at the Dynavolt intact Liquimodi machines here. This is coming through turn 14. Baldassari, the time has gone away for Baldo, and he's fourth at the moment, so he's going to need to push on big time in that final lap. This is Garzo, he's on course to go pole at the moment, but Zacconi is absolutely flying. 1.2 seconds up. 2-3 sectors across the line comes Balder. We'll get him up to second. Garzo goes pole, but we have got over 60 seconds still, and I think that it is all about to change. Across the line, Mantovani goes second, and we are about to have Gutierrez go pole. Oscar Gutierrez goes up to P1 at least. Still all the same thing really. Goes moving through to Q1 as it stands. No, he does, but yes he does, but Zacconi demotes it, so Zacconi starts his final flying lap in P1.
Only has 1 second of advantage over Gutierrez in second, which you imagine is a fairly significant time. The first rider in this MotoE category in this session in the sub 2-minute lap. So good stuff that from Alessandro Zacconi. He's shown some real control action so far in Q1, but hopefully for this final lap to be sure important Q2.
Jordi Torres here is coming through turn 15. He'll be wanted to be tentative, but he also wants to attack. He is just over half a tenth adrift of that top time at the moment. This should see Jordi Torres through into Q2 if he comes across the line and puts him up to second. Yes, it does. He actually gained a bit of time as well in that final sector, and that just goes to show that if you can link up the whole lap, you are not guaranteed a spot here as it stands.
Second through split number 2. Oscar Gutierrez is also very good, as is Jordi Torres. So you have to imagine it's going to be Zacconi going through, plus either Torres or Gutierrez. And, well, Baldassarri and Mantovani need to do something very, very special indeed, I think, if they want to maintain the championship hopes in this final lap.
Absolutely, and they're not on... absolutely stunning laps either, so we'll have to wait and see how this one all rolls out. So we are looking at Oscar Gutierrez. This is to try and go through into P1 and get himself into Q2, but we'll have to wait and see. Garzo's taking the flag, he's third, so he's not coming through. It's going to be a lowly qualifying performance for the Spaniard. Mantovani improves, with confirmed in fourth at best, so he's in Q1. Gutierrez is provisionally at the moment in P1, but Zacconi usurped him late on at 1:59, absolutely dead, so fantastic stuff from the 61. Jordi pinch point, Neil. I presume he's lost the front under braking.
He was troubling Zacconi's time at that lap, but he may well have jumped ahead of Gutierrez into second position, but something stuff with Jordi Torres. It's not going to be, you have to imagine, a glorious end to his life in MotoE. He's won on the occasion more than any other ride history. And you have to say, Kiko,
not going more mad than I already am. The cone. Spoke about Tibor Ekvaga. He is 7th in this session ahead of... Good to see this ride today. Oscar Gutierrez moving up through into Q2, giving him a chance to sign off the 2025 season and indeed his career in MotoE on a high.
Gutierrez announced himself on the World Championship team last year. MotoE rider, the first one of the championship, and Gutierrez put it on the podium in just the second ever race in this series. We knew then, real serious talent and his competitor on our hands, and obviously still struggle this year. Injury, the horrible crash at Le Mans. To him,
what a disappointment. Lorenzo Baldassarri absolutely not happy here. Well, there's not a lot to say really for Baldassarri, that he finds himself almost on the back of the grid. He's a long way down. Down Zacconi, you can see there, just chatting to his team. That's Serafino Fotti on the right-hand side, team principal of the Aruba Ducati team that run this outfit over in World Superbike. And yeah, they've had tricky conditions as well right throughout their season. But Zacconi getting the job done on that final flying lap ahead of Gutierrez. Zacconi and Gutierrez are the ones that move through to Q2. Torres misses out after falling on his final flying lap. Garzo, Mantovani and Baldassarri, your headlining acts, not moving through. That is a real kick in the teeth for those two. They could have really done with moving through and having a chance at least. Tibor Ekvaga there ahead of Pereira, Zanoni and Occhi, the number 28, right off the pace at the back. And unfortunately for him, not moving through to join his teammate, who awaits Q2 for the first time. Zacconi leads the championship. He leads the charge into Q2. Don't go anywhere. The pole shootout is next. Well, after a rain-filled, action-packed Q1, we are in a drying out. Of that Q1 session. It is done. And to give that track a chance of drying. He's going to be getting on for being very, very tasty come the end of the next 10 minutes. You're in the company of Kiko Charles and Neil and Raffaele Fusco, who is automatically on for his best qualifying of the season, ahead of Alessandro Zacconi, our championship leader, and Oscar Gutierrez. Joining him, moving through. Neil, that session, it was decided right at the end, and I don't think it's going to be too indifferent here. Coming up in Q2.
It's going to be a bit of a curveball for the majority of riders in this session, and happily not in full wet conditions so far. Experienced that night, Jordi Torres made their way back to after crash night at the end of Q1. Will not be featuring in this session, unfortunately for the championship. This rider most certainly will. Mattia Casadei finds himself second in the championship, 5 points in arrears of Zacconi. And I don't know how many riders you championship fight, but I see a serious challengers. Zacconi, Casadei and Ferrari are your top three. Potentially champion coming from one of those three. What about you?
I see it, yeah, more or less the same. The only difference is Eric Granado is in form, and that is a rider who has been there in contention a lot. Lorenzo Baldassarri is also in that top 5, but for me, now he's down further down on the grid. I just don't see how Balda recovers from this, even if it rains.
Good shot. Granado was on pole position here last year, and we know he's a really good wet weather rider as well, so he has together these conditions.
The crucial bit is the overconfidence bit, though. Good in the wet, but if you get pole, it is the same margin of distance between him and the rest of the field as it would be if it was 1,000th of a second or 2 seconds. So he's got to play it smart, you feel, in this session, Neil. Eric Granado, last year, he didn't convert in the race, though. There's no point for qualifying. In pit lane, down to you.
Down here with Lorenzo.
Then in practice we miss the strategy and that was good because in Le Mans I was very happy. I will try to find a way now. Never give up until the end. I think I can fight for winning, and okay, try to do the best out of the life, and
a massive positive because he'll have the most recent track conditions.
Even when we had race 2, when we had practice this last time, it was
Yeah.
right. Enough for slick tires, but certainly not dry enough to be pushing that. So tomorrow's race, kind of with big question mark over Harder's engine. Wow.
MotoE going out the only way that MotoE could go out. 7 riders still in championship contention is obviously not good enough. We need to have the most complicated weather and the most unpredictable of sessions to get us through to our championship deciding day tomorrow. Join us, please. It is going to be absolutely magnificent. 12:50.
On the line, a little bit full dry condition today, because earlier today in full practice, morning when it was too dry, today was 4 times. Anyone else?
Whereas in 2025, could really do without a... one in race 2. So Cassidy, a winner here in our 1-year visit to Portimão. Whether or not he's going to be able to get in on the act tomorrow and indeed in this session, because again, it himself and Alessandro Zacconi qualified downfield in this one, opened the door massively to the likes of Matteo Ferrari and Eric Granado.
Certainly does. So interesting to see what they can do on this particular lap. And a 1 minute, 59 seconds. Flag out in second number 2, and that is Matteo Ferrari.
He has dropped it. Matteo Ferrari. That is at turn 4. A very unconventional accident there, of course. Down on the left-hand side of the tyre, coming through after 3 consecutive right-handers at the start of the lap. Matteo Ferrari has gone down. Let's see what condition that bike's in, whether or not he's able to get it going, whether or not he's allowed to get it going, of course, as well. But Matteo Ferrari, well, after his win in Misano last time out, has suddenly come crashing back down, and that'll be yellow flags all over there at turn 4. And for as long as he's trying to pick that bike up, the yellow flags will stay out. They've gone in now, so all danger and caution is now out of the way in terms of that crash site. But a real disaster there for Matteo Ferrari, and front behind him, because that's that cancellation.
Yeah, that's the stuff of Ferrari then. You could see he was carrying his left handlebar back into shift. He was picking his bike up. It remains to be seen whether he'll be able to continue in these final 5 minutes. He will need to continue in these final 5 minutes if he wants to be picking up the championship trophy tomorrow. Ferrari third overall needs to make up 12 points to Alessandro Zacconi to at least make a chance of winning the championship. And well, that is not an ideal start at all.
It absolutely is, and the lap time's coming in, and these guys, of course, their first laps, I can tell you they're way off what Alessandro Zacconi and Oscar Gutierrez were able to do. They're about 3 seconds or so away, but of course, this is the first time they're seeing this track in these kind of conditions. Across the line, Alessio Pinello comes through on the Filo Grassini MotoE machine, and that's 4th for him. Bernardi at the moment 3rd. Bernardo's gone up to 2nd behind his teammate Matteo Cassidy. Both of those guys in title contention. They'll be careful and cautious not to take too many lumps out of each other, so they both have an equal, or at least an opportunity going into tomorrow's race 2. It can't be done in race 1 for them.
think Ferrari has got that going because he's come through split number 3. So that is a good sign. It looks as though he is able to continue. I'm not sure if he's going to have to go into pit lane. Maybe Elliott can update us. He does at some point, but it looks as though Ferrari has come across the line. Yeah, he's back out again, able to continue.
Ferrari, I suppose, at the moment, he's just got to get on with it and bite the bullet right now, because going down pit lane, it's costing you valuable track time. You aren't going to be able to work out the quickie areas of this track, the optimal line around this track in the conditions, your braking margin and all the rest of it. Coming down the hill at turn 11 into turn 12 is your provisional pole sitter, Mattia Castellet, 1.4 under what he's been able to do so far. That's still going to be a little bit off what the others were doing earlier on in Q1. Zacconi and Gutierrez, they're obviously still in the pits waiting to go out. Jacopo Hosjuk is in the final sector, about to come across the line to set his first effort. At the moment, Castellet, Granado in an LCRE Team 1-2. Luca Bernardi in that P3 on the Aruba Cloud MotoE machine. He's been here, of course, back in World Super Sport and all kinds of classes back in the past. So keep an eye on the likes of Luca Bernardi. Nicola Spinelli, a winner here last year in a provisional pole. Bit of not any longer. Casadei up there, 2-minute flat, 0.9. That's still a little bit off what they were doing earlier, so keep an eye on the likes of Eric Granado, who's about to come to the line. Is he able to improve? Yes, he does. Makes that provisional pole away with just over 3 minutes left to go. The lap times are going to continue to tumble.
It's pretty tense stuff here. We're all waiting to see which rider will blink first. Alessandro Zacconi on a decent lap here. This is the first blind lap of this Q2 session. He's able to do a 1-minute 59 flat Q1, which suggests that there's plenty more in the tank still to do. Within range, look at that.
Wow.
Second under doing split number 2. These conditions really might play right into Zacconi's hands as he has prior experience in these back conditions.
Exactly, he's able to hit the ground running and pick up from where he left off early on in Q1. You just you have to be careful not to be overconfident, as we sometimes see when you're moving through from one session to the other. So Ferrari has come across the line, got a anchor in, that is for P6. And Matteo Ferrari, after that fall, has at least got a time on the board. He's ahead of his teammate at the moment, even with a bent handlebar. Zacconi, 9/10 under Eric Granado's time. I'm not sure that's going to be necessarily quicker than what he was able to do earlier on, though, Neil. Let's see what he's able to do in the final sector, but he seems to be gaining time all the way around this track. Alessandro Zacconi, your championship leader. He's about to set his first flying lap in Q2. He came from Q1 in P1 and he goes to P1 on a 59.800. That is a solid job indeed from Alessandro Zacconi, but the likes of Casadei, Oscar Gutierrez and Eric Granado are all acclimatised into the conditions, and they are all looking to try and knock Zacconi on his P1 perch with 90 seconds on the clock to go.
Today looking pretty good, but I think Gutierrez is the rider just behind. We need to keep an eye on the number 99. So then he comes up in second. Yeah, it is second. So Tony's pushed back to third as Gutierrez goes. It's just been almost the fastest MotoE time of these 2 qualifying sessions we've had so far. 59.1. Great stuff for Oscar Gutierrez, who I don't think he's been in pole position so far this year. In fact, he hasn't.
Eric Granado moves up. We're going to get a replay of it. It is so tricky at the best of... More so in these tricky conditions. That went, there was absolutely not a chance the Brazilian was saving that one, Neil.
Completely upright. The wet weather
might be okay here, Alessandro Zacconi, but let's hope Eric Granado is okay. Your pole sitter from last year, he's a provisional front row starter.